Good evening, everyone. My name is Pasquale Iannone. I'm the programmer for the Fellini retrospective, which is underway. And this weekend, we are having a Fellini weekender. We've got screenings, we have events today and tomorrow. And tonight, we have a very, very special event because we wanted to have a conversation with a filmmaker. And we've had conversations with many critics and scholars, fascinating stuff, but we really wanted to talk to a director, a filmmaker, and to see the influence of Fellini, perhaps. Because although his critical reputation has fluctuated over the years, with filmmakers, he's always been up here. He's been perennially popular, Fellini, with directors, and I'd like to talk a bit about that. So our guest this evening, our special guest, is one of the great contemporary British filmmakers, most recently director of Out of Blue, but also directed The Following and Dreams of a Life. It is Carol Morley. Thank you very much, Carol. Thanks for joining us.
I'm slightly terrified to talk about Fellini.
You're among friends here.
Yeah.
Tra amici, as they say in Italy.
Oh, my God.
So, Fellini then.
Yes.
When was your first encounter with Il Maestro?
Well, I don't know. That's the truth of the matter, because I think as a filmmaker, I wasn't always a filmmaker either, but, and I don't really know when I first became aware of Fellini, but I know that for filmmakers, he's sort of part of your DNA, if you like, that his approach to films and filmmaking just becomes part of you, and you can think of scenes and think of films, and they're there in you. But I'm not very good at remembering the first time I saw something. Yeah. Unless it was in Bev Zorkot's film class, who taught me film, and she's here tonight.
She's here tonight.
And that's when I was. So I didn't discover film till I was 23, 24, and I think what I love particularly about this film, Nights of Cabiria, is that it's so transformative. Yes. And when I think about my own life and becoming a filmmaker, it is about transformation. Yes. And in Nights of Cabiria, Cabiria, the character, is really in pursuit of transformation in ways that are so elegant and so beyond her work as a prostitute. Yeah. It's not about transforming because she is a prostitute. It's just like we all seek change, we all seek transformation. So I think the way I became a filmmaker and my life transformed specifically and especially through film, and the people I've met through film and the films that I've seen make me really drawn to Fellini, the way he deals and collaborates with his actors, and this film especially. Yeah,
because like you say, I mean, it is in many ways a key film in his filmography. If you look at where it's positioned, 1957, and it's a kind of transitional work. So he's moving away from, shall we say, work that is more linked to neorealism, which was very much his roots. Going towards something else, something a bit more poetic, perhaps, and fantastical. And I think at the center of this, it is important that at the center of this is his wife and muse, Giulietta Masina. So she had been obviously in La Strada, which was a huge success internationally, a massive success. Won him an Oscar as well. So this one, I mean, I wonder how it compares, you think, with La Strada.
Well, I think, I think that it's very unusual to see this kind of picaresque journey with a woman at the helm and the woman at the lead. And so this is her film in entirety. It's her episodes. She leads those episodes, unlike in La Strada when there's the couple. So I think for me, this episodic journey that she takes towards what I consider transformation, and a very optimistic, for me it's a very optimistic end, for others it might be fatalistic or pessimistic. I love that about Fellini too, because you're allowed to make your own mind and judgment up as an audience. He leaves you that space, which I think is so important. But with Nights of Cabiria is her film. There's a very special part as well when she meets an actor one night, or the matinee idol.
Yes.
And there's this, like, we won't spoil any parts of it for you. I'm sure lots of you have seen it before. But there's a part where she goes back to his apartment, and you see through a keyhole. And I think I love that particular part because it's really her controlling the gaze. It's really her taking on board this kind of romantic scene and understanding. I feel at that point she really understands that that's not life and that's not her life, and it's possibly not what she wants. And I think for a film that is about a prostitute, you see no sex, which I love. You see a lot of romance. But again, the romance is this tantalizing idea of what your life should be. And I think for me, Giulietta, by the end, I think she understands that that isn't where life is in the romance. That's something that's been sold to her. So, yeah, as Nights of Cabiria as a film where she takes hold of it and we are with her all the way is why it excites me even more than Lestrada, which she is amazing in.
Yeah. I mean, I think another thing to say about the film as well is that it marked his collaboration, Fellini, with another major figure in Italian cinema. We become a major figure in Italian cinema, Pier Paolo Pasolini, who up until that point was best known as a poet and as a writer, as a novelist. And Fellini wanted Pasolini's authenticity because Pasolini, actually like Fellini, wasn't from Rome. He wasn't from Rome. He was originally from the north of Italy. And, but Pasolini had lived in the places that we see. So you really get a sense of the authenticity. And faces, I think you were saying.
Yeah,
with,
the faces.
With Fellini, it's not so much the actor, it didn't have to be a star, it's the expression, the face.
I mean, but Pasolini contributed the dialogue, didn't he?
Yes.
Because it's very dialect.
Together with his other screenwriters, Ennio Flaiano and Tullio Pinelli.
So, and I know Fellini, what I love about Fellini as well, he wasn't so much interested in like neorealism, which obviously he's from. This film sort of is beginning to go beyond that, like you said, because I think it's looking at transforming the natural and transforming nature. Yes. And I love, because he said somewhere along the lines that he believed in being authentic with emotions. And I think the emotion of true dialect is important too. But so there was a lot of truth and authenticity to what he does, but it's not about, I mean, he would transform the natural. In other films that he did, he would invent the snow. It wasn't there. He wanted it, and he would invent it, and he would film films in the summer and make them look like winter. So he was really grappling with taking that on. And the thing, what we were saying before about faces, it's and you were saying, oh, that's very neorealist as well. But when, for example, in this film, when we go into the magician show, the magic show, and you see the audience, and you see someone near the front asleep, and you see people in the wings with their lives going on while this is going on. And this Fellini was a master at doing crowds, but you don't feel they're filler or background or extras, whatever. You feel that they all inhabit a life and a world, and you want to know
wherever
them.
you look,
it's
there's
very
a story.
special.
Like we're saying, wherever you look, you turn the camera, there's a story there.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. And in this film as well, it's when she goes on the stage in the magic show, it's as though we are. Because twice, I think, in the film, at least, she says, I've got everything I want. She has a small, very humble abode, a room of her own, made out of concrete. She has everything she needs. But at the same time, you get this feeling in that magic show that what we're witnessing is someone unburdening or being able to voice their unconscious and then being ridiculed for that. Which Fellini, obviously, later on, he discovered Carl Jung and all of that, and he became very interested in the unconscious. But here you get the beginnings of that. And it's such a tender and beautiful scene, and really heartbreaking, because she has her fantasy is revealed. But whether it's her fantasy or the fantasy, I think, at that point is of purity. I think that's because we haven't mentioned all the religious stuff either.
That's right, absolutely, yeah. And we've programmed this film in the Walkers and Wanderers section. Because really it's a film that, like many Fellini films, is very episodic. And it's very much about journey.
It is a road trip.
Road movie, really.
It's a road movie.
So I wonder, I mean, I suppose the question is, you're coming towards your films and the extent to which you felt the influence of Fellini directly on your own work.
So, I mean, Fellini himself said he wasn't influenced by others, but he clearly absorbed other filmmakers, and he would talk about the people he met and the life he encountered and absorbing all of that. I think, whenever I see a Fellini film, it makes me want to become a filmmaker.
Yes.
Whenever I see or read about the way he works, it makes me so excited, the way he worked and the way he collaborated with people, and particularly Giulietta Masina. He told me how to pronounce her name properly. I've been getting it wrong for years, but... So I feel that, I just feel that he is an influence, but I wouldn't say one film over another. But I do think, for me, he said himself he didn't make moral judgments, and that's very important to me when I make a film. I don't want to make a moral judgment about the people in it or the person in it or the characters I create. I want the audience to be able to bring themselves and not feel moralized about, or that I'm moralizing about other people. And I also think that he was very much interested in film being about the unconscious, and obviously that became more and more so, which is
the idea of
very
subjectivity, which of course comes in a lot in your work.
Yeah, and he really did create incredible women characters that have such depth, and they're not tokenistic in any way. And I think after one of his films he was accused of being sexist, and then he made Juliet of the Spirits, which is incredible. So I think that all his films have touched me very, very deeply, but he is like it's very hard for me to think that I'm here right now talking about Fellini. It feels very strange, but... Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up, because we want to obviously show you the film.
It was not long enough. I thought I wouldn't have anything to say, and then it's gone too quickly.
I want to actually talk about... It's a 60-plus-year-old film, so, spoilers to a degree.
Very timeless.
But what do you think about the ending of the film? I mean, it's
we're not going to say what the ending is about. No. Well, I mean, like I said earlier, people have seen this film...
Just to tantalise.
Yeah, well, no, I'm not. But people have seen this film as being possibly pessimistic, fatalistic. I see it as very optimistic. And I think what I adore about this film that runs all the way through it is the connection to music and to dance. And there's a lot of there's a lot of times when there's music and dance. And I think for all of us, music and dance connects us all in the world. It's really important to us, and it allows us to be something together. Yeah. And I think, to me, that is how the film ends. Yes. That's all I'll say.
That's
and
good.
therefore, it's a very optimistic film.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Before we finish, Fellini's not the only film maestro that celebrates a birthday. Has celebrated a birthday recently.
Yeah. I think he is a Capricorn, and I am. Yeah. So.
It was your birthday earlier in the week.
In the week. Yeah. And his is on Monday. Fellini's
and we have a special surprise for you here.
Is it someone coming out of a cake?
Yes.
Only that will do. In a very Fellini-esque way. Yeah. Oh wow, that's amazing. I didn't know. Look. Thank you very much. I'm very touched. I'm very touched, but I did expect someone to come out of it. In fact, they are.
Everyone gets a slice.
Yeah, everyone gets a slice after. We'll be in the bar after. I'm watching the film with you. I don't know what to do with this now. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. Enjoy the film.